in my experience with doing development agreements and zoning changes and community plan updates, this is our opportunity, particularly in the zoning change process, to negotiate community benefits in exchange for the entitlements. As I look at the benefits that you are proposing, most of them really would be included in a development agreement required by community development as part of your development. I'm not seeing a lot of other community benefits in the form of parks and affordable housing and different things like that, that, you know, obviously each development, depending on its size, is, you know, depends on the benefits that would be requested. So earlier in the last meeting, we talked about actually having the public dedication on some of the properties. And in the last meeting, we talked about actually having the public dedication on some of the properties, and staff seems to be not supporting that idea. So maybe I want to talk about a couple other things and get into a negotiation here and see. You know, the affordable housing that Councilor Luttrell brought up, I mean, this has been part of the negotiations in the past, and developers have become accustomed to doing either on-site affordable housing to accommodate some of their employees, or doing in lieu payment so that it goes into an affordable housing fund and the city can actually develop affordable housing. So I'm wondering, you know, regarding an in lieu fee or possibly some other things, since you have a curb cut there, maybe that would be a good place for a transit shelter. We run the Verde Links up and down 898. Possibility of donating toward that. Do you have, would you be amenable to that idea?
Yeah, that'd be fine. We actually pursued the local transit shuttle service and found out that it had turned into a private shuttle service, no longer public. So we abandoned that, but we understand, or we looked at possibly putting an exit off of through the driveways and coming up and actually putting it up fairly close to the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. You know, a couple other things that came up for me. You know, the possibility that we were talking about when we were talking with the Forest Service is providing some attractive plaques on the edge of the property where you're looking to the, I guess it would be to the north.
Right.
You know, and describing some of the landmarks and the rocks and things like that. You know, to me that would be another community benefit where people could come up there and take a look. You know, the other things that you're doing, the Painter's Point, the dedicated pathway, you know, that type of thing, those are all great. But I'd like to see a little bit more.
Well, we actually had a conversation with Jennifer Burns several days ago, and we agreed to actually foot the bill for the development of the Vista Point that actually would go across our property line and into the forest. Again, she was concerned about directing the traffic or the hikers on the path. We would put that together. We also agreed to put in that signage that you're talking about throughout the back, because we want to promote the mountains and the names of the mountains and those kinds of things. Yeah,
it would be great for your,
yep.
You know, the people that are in the restaurant, the patrons, as well as the visitors. And
along with that, Mayor, I think you've heard the term dark sky. Part of that, we're working with Nat White, who's an astronomer up at Lowell Observatory. He's not only going to help us do the dark sky compliant applications and things, but we're also going to try and encourage the Lowell Observatory to work with the restaurant in bringing programs down, signage down, to promote the dark sky and the constellations and everything that we in Sedona love to look at. So.
Well, I've seen he's done a tremendous amount of work. You know, I appreciate the group that you've put together, the renderings that you've come up with. You know, the amount of work that's gone into this has been phenomenal. So I appreciate all that. We're just coming down to the bottom line here, and I'm wondering if maybe you would consider just an in lieu fee to be put into an account that would be utilized where the city could actually develop something I don't know what the best way to go at this is, but instead of saying specifically you need to put this plaque, this plaque, this plaque in, or a transit stop or whatever, there would simply be an in lieu fee that the city could utilize to provide benefits, whatever we come up with.
Is that a blank check?
I'm thinking that would be good. Do you have a dollar amount in mind?
How about $5,000?
How about 500,000?
That we're out.
I mean a realistic amount. You know, what do you think that it's? You know, it's hard for me to say, but you know, I would like to hear you say I'm willing to put up, you know, a reasonable amount of money, considering the fact that when I do get that zone change, we know that the value of your property is going to be increased fairly significantly from an OP to a C1. So I'd just like to have an offer from you and see if we can say that we all feel good about that and sing Kumbaya.
Mayor, may I ask Mike Gormaric a question?
Sure.
Is it appropriate for a councilor or mayor to negotiate between himself or herself and a client during a council meeting unilaterally?
Well, ultimately, any agreement is going to have to be between the developer and the city council as a whole. That's all I can say.
So what will happen then is we would have to agree to, as a group, to
Correct.
whatever results from this discussion.
Yeah, I think you could ask me that, and my intention is to have the council support that.
Okay.
I'm just opening the conversation because this is the opportunity for us to have that discussion. We are going to be asked to vote up or down on this entitlement, this zone change tonight, and so I'm looking at creating another reason to support it.
Can I say something there?
Well, I'm still talking with Mr. Stevenson if we can have that conversation right now.
Yeah, I'm actually at a loss for words because I really don't know what you mean. I don't know when you say a larger number than my offer of $5,000. That means that we're probably not talking about the same thing.
Well, I'm just wondering in the conversation with staff, because you have talked about this. You acknowledge in here that affordable housing and providing for affordable housing in other projects has been something that the city looks for in return for providing the entitlements. I'm going to use another project, George Moore's project right next door. You know, he spent a considerable amount of money establishing that parking area and the trail access, a considerable amount of money.
Right.
So I'm just using that as a comparison, you know, for getting those entitlements.
Yeah, if that's where you're going with this, I'd have to say no.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you know.
That's what I'm hearing. So
Yeah, I'm saying, you know, money, an entitlement fund. So in your discussions with the staff, and you were talking about plaques, and you were talking, you know, you
Right.
seemed to be agreeable to a transit stop. You know, there needs to be a shelter at a transit stop. You know, that type of idea. Was there discussions about costs of those kinds of things?
no, we just in the conversations with Jennifer Burns, we agreed to take care of those costs because of the concern for Forestry Service with an investment, and with the not having a dedicated easement. I just picked those costs up and said, well, if that makes you feel better, I'll do these costs so that you don't have any investment there. But again, you know, putting the whole project together, you know, we've I feel like we've done everything that we possibly can to turn that piece of property into what the original intent was from the city, and so I think we've done for over this past year working with the city everything we possibly can do. I'm a businessman, and I don't have unlimited funds, and so this is a budgeted project that I'm working on right now. I mean, I just don't have that kind of money to go out and do a big donation to the city.
No.
So,
We're just looking for a number.
yep. So
Councilor Luttrell?
I was just going to say there, you know, a project that has crossed my mind and that has come up in the community planning process, and I certainly don't expect you to pay for it, but is that as we go forward, we really do need to underground the utility wires in West Sedona. that's coming up everywhere, and it's going to be a multi-million-dollar project sooner or later. And it's occurred to me that as we go forward now with the beginning of development again happening in Sedona, that may be a fund that we should consider for developers to begin contributing to, so that we really enhance the beauty of West Sedona, because right now it's a visual nightmare as you go down that street. And so, looking at in lieu fees, and not making it specifically affordable housing, but considering another important project that will enhance the community. All of the benefits that you've listed, how long have you owned the property, Mr. Stevenson?
4.5 years.
Okay. All of the benefits that you have listed attribute to you and that property. And to the degree that the community will participate and attend the restaurant and so on, it's still on the property versus a community benefit that is not on the property. And I guess that's where the description of Mr. Moore's property or Dr. Moore's property is, that it was separate and therefore, it did benefit the community. So as we look at that, and I wouldn't sit here and say, give me a number, but I think that's something that we really need to be thinking about as we're going forward with all of this. So I don't know how you can talk about that further, think about that further, but that's something that would benefit the community and that we need to look at as a longer-term project. A thought.
Councilor McElroy?
Mayor, with due respect to you, and I don't want you to take what I'm going to say wrong, but I'm extremely uncomfortable with using our position to approve a project, and in a sense it strikes me as almost extortion that we're touching on. And it bothers me very much. This gentleman wants to have a project approved, and we're using that leverage of our power as a city to twist his arm to do something. Maybe the project has, you might say, the community benefit is there somewhere, but we should not use our position as public servants to extort money from people who are not willing to give it to us voluntarily. Now let me ask you my question, Mr. Stevenson.
Sure.
How many employees will you have at this restaurant when it opens next year?
I think
Before we don't take comments from the audience.
I would venture to say probably 30 or 40 employees.
There's 40 that don't exist at the moment.
Right.
Mayor, I apologize if I've offended you, but I feel very strongly about abuse of our public power in a situation like this.
Vice Mayor?
My sense is that as an old horse trader, we wonder why there wasn't more negotiation at lower levels as this moved through the process, in private conversation. But I also believe that it's awful late in the game to be talking about ante, and I also have the thought that this is going to be an ongoing business and run by a proven operator, and the nonprofits in this town are not shrinking violets, and they will be at your doorstep with good cause, be it chamber music or or film festival. There will be plenty of opportunity going forward from this point to be supportive of the fruits of your labor and sharing it with our community. And I understand what you're doing, but I'm uncomfortable also with the format, the forum that we're in, having this kind of discussion.
I just want to say that the negotiation of community benefits is something on every development agreement and zone change or community plan amendment has been part of the process. As I looked at the process that went through the planning and zoning, I know the issue was brought up. And, that negotiation never really was successful. And so we're the entity that makes the final decision, and I consider this the opportunity to do that on behalf of the community. To call it extortion, Councilor McElroy, I know that you didn't mean to offend me, but I've been involved with a few more of these than you have, and it is part of the process. So, the developer is getting entitlements that enrich him, and the community should get benefit as a result of the city offering those entitlements. That's the process.
Mayor, we shouldn't hold him hostage to that.
No, holding hostage is not the word. It's not, it's just, we are negotiating on behalf of the community and getting community benefits for the entitlements that the developer is getting. That's my point. So, Councilor Martinez?
To me, and from what I've heard, is that this has gone through P&Z, this has gone through staff, and they're presenting to us, and that was not brought up, that we want in lieu fees for this. To me, with regards to community benefit, there's three that I can think of. Is number one, we will be hiring people will be working, and it's going to be benefiting not only those individuals, but also the community. Number two, let's face it, what's sitting up there on that ridge is an eyesore. Every time I go by there, I get embarrassed on when people are coming in. And I said, we've got to do something with it. I know there have been negotiations before on what to put up there, and they've all failed. I said, this is a fabulous idea on what we should be putting up there. That, to me, is a community benefit. The third one, and it was mentioned earlier, is that this is going to be a great gateway, because I know that's been mentioned in the community plan on these 3 gateways that they want to put in here. That'd be an excellent gateway, especially to West Sedona. I think it's a start, and we should not, especially after I believe Mr. Stevenson said that he will be putting, I'm going to put a bus stop. That's what the word I'm going to use. Have the bus stop or something like that out there in front, and also put in the plaques in the back. To me, that is a community benefit. So I believe Vice Mayor Denunzio made mention this kind of late in the game to not start bringing up all these additional things. So I cannot support that line of questioning. And I believe, as I just mentioned, there's a number of community benefits that they are meeting and should be based on that. I don't think we should go any further with trying to get a little bit more money.
Well,
but I think that's the benefit.
Mr. Mayor, can I say something, please?
Yes, sir.
There's a huge tax incentive for the city with this too. Currently, rental income is 3% of the rent, which is maybe a couple $100 a month coming out of that. We put in a restaurant that does $4 or $5 million a year, and you're looking at $150,000 to $200,000 worth of tax revenue for the city. That's a huge benefit.
No, I got that.
Okay.
I read the packet, and I understand that. And that's normally a part that the sales or bed tax revenue is normally a part of an entitlement or a benefit that's given during the entitlement process.
Right.
So you're not any different than anybody else. I'm just saying that, I was disappointed that during the process earlier, this discussion didn't take place, and, that negotiation didn't happen. I'm thinking that maybe, there are a number of people on planning and zoning that are newer. We haven't done much zoning in the last 4 years, and so, that's just kind of the way it went. So I'm bringing it up, and it's at the will of the council, one way or another, whether we ask for more entitlements. Responding to Councilor Martinez, you have not agreed to put in a transit shelter or a stop or the plaques. This is just something that's been discussed. So, I'm just asking, if this might be part of the entitlements or part of the community benefits that you would provide. That simple.
And my answer is no.
Okay. Councilor Luttrell?
I think in defense of the mayor's position, I understand where he's coming from, and I agree that everything that's happening is going to enrich your property. And yes, it's going to provide sales revenue to the city and so on, which it would do no matter where you built it, okay? And so I think what we're saying here is that at other levels, the right conversations did not take place. So I guess the question I have is, could we invite further discussion between staff and the applicant to go back and talk about these things and see what they come up with as a thought?
Are you asking me that question?
Yes, Mike.
I think the options before the council are as follows. One, you could certainly continue this hearing to a date certain. I think that would eliminate any need to renotice it, to see if there's any opportunities to pursue community benefits or address other concerns that you raised. Number two, you can certainly vote that against the rezoning as has been proposed, and then the applicant has the option of coming back with a new proposal, maybe with more community benefits, or to address the other concerns that you've expressed about safety or so forth. Or you can vote in favor of it as it is proposed. I think the applicant's made it clear that what's on the table right now is what's on the table, and he would like an up or down vote. But those are your options at this point in terms of what you can do.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Vice Mayor. Oh, no, Councilor Williamson. I knew there was somebody on this side.
Someone on this side, that would be me. I just want to, I'd just like to say that these people aren't standing here before us or sitting here before us because out of the goodness of their heart. They are business people. They are going to get something from this zone change. So this was zoned a certain way originally for reasons. If we change that, it's only reasonable that there be a reason for doing it other than the normal reasons that would accrue from someone making money out of a restaurant. And Barbara's point is exactly right on. The things that are mostly been done do accrue mostly to your success. Certainly the overlook does not. The overlook is something that is additional, the trailway, but the deceleration lane, but they do cost money. So this isn't really extortion. This is really, you want to put a business somewhere that's a beautiful place, and you would like us to give you, allow you to do that. So you can make some money, so we can get some tax money, so people can be employed, and so we have something beautiful up on that hill instead of something that looks terrible. So certainly to say that it's extortion, it really does not understand at all the process of granting a zone change and what that means. Things are zoned for a reason, and to change them, there has to be a very good reason. And so the mayor's absolutely right in that. I have trouble doing something at this late point that you don't want to. I mean, my thing right now is either to vote for it or against it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a great use of the property. I like the project. But I also think that talking more about other community benefits separate from the benefit to that particular site would be really useful in the future. But I don't feel comfortable right now at this point in the process in going back with a clearly reluctant developer who has proceeded, I assume, in good faith up to now. So I know we're the final people, and I know we can do what we want on this. But that's kind of how I feel now.
Okay.
May I ask
Yeah, I'd
Mike
just
to
like to
follow?
make a statement.
I wanted to clarify something Mike said.
Go ahead.
Mike, you said that our options were to approve, disapprove, or put to a later date. If we disapprove it, does it have to go through the entire P&Z process again?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be starting all over.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And the other thing is important to know that if you disapprove it, the developer also has the option to develop the property as it's currently zoned. He could change the proposal to something that would fit within the office professional zoning. So you just need to understand that that's one option in his packet too.
Okay, Mr. Stevenson, I'm gonna support this zoning change. I brought up a point that had been discussed before. You know, as part of the process, this isn't your first rodeo. You've done other development before.
No, I am surprised. I'm sorry, but I am.
Okay. Well, it has been the process that I've been involved with for the last 7 years on city council. So I think that you know, you have a great development that you're proposing here. There are community benefits. My feeling is that, you know, as a city council and as a city, that we should be fair and equitable to all people that do developments here and treat them all the same. And again, I was bringing up the point of Mr. Moore's development and the cost that he put into the, you know, the parking area and the trailhead access and the other things that he did. You know, why would we treat one developer differently than another? So, you know, it is late in the process. It's unfortunate that, you know, this kind of cast a little negativity over this process. I felt as though my job as a city council member is to negotiate on behalf of the community, to the community's best interest, and I tried to do that. You're not interested in it, but I'm still going to support the project. So I feel as though it's unfortunate, and I hope that out of the good of your heart that you choose to put other amenities on that property. So that being said, I'd like to make a motion. Is the council prepared for that?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. I move to approve resolution number 2013-10, creating as a public record those provisions of an ordinance rezoning property in case number PZ 13-00003, in parentheses ZC.
Second.
Motion's been made by Mayor Adams, seconded by Councilor Ward. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Need to read the ordinance?
Yes, ordinance number 2013-03, Mariposa Development Zone Change, an ordinance of the City of Sedona, Arizona, rezoning that property described herein from its present designation of OP, Office Professional, to C1, General Commercial, establishing conditions of such rezoning, directing the amendment of the zoning map upon completion of all zoning conditions set forth herein, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances or any part of the Land Development Code in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance shall be repealed upon the effective date of this ordinance.
I move to approve ordinance number 2013-03 regarding case number PZ 13-00003, parentheses PZ, rezoning the property identified by assessors parcel numbers 401-46-124A and 401-46-124B from its present designation of OP, Office Professional, to C1, General Commercial District, based on the compliance with Land Development Code requirements, consistency with and conformity to the Sedona Community Plan, and compatibility with surrounding land uses and the character of the surrounding area, subject to the attached conditions of approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Mayor Adams, seconded by Councilor Ward. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.